Okay. So the first and foremost question what we need to discuss today is what is cost actually. Okay. Suppose this is Mr. A and Mr. A has gone to a shop. Okay. This is a shop and Mr. A has asked the shopkeeper to pack 2 kgs of rice. What will be the question of Mr. A to this particular shopkeeper? What is the cost of this rice? Am I right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
He'll ask the first question, what is the cost of this rice? So generally cost is nothing but the amount of money that you need in order to buy something. The amount of money you need in order to buy something. And let me be very clear, the cost for you is selling price for the shopkeeper, correct? So suppose the shopkeeper is quoting that you have to pay 50 rupees for 2 kg of rice. The shopkeeper is quoting that you have to pay 50 rupees for 2 kg of rice. That is nothing but it is the cost for you. It is cost price for Mr. A. Cost price to Mr. A is 50 rupees and selling price to shopkeeper is how much? How much is selling price for shopkeeper? 50 rupees, correct or wrong?
Yeah, 50.
Yeah. So to Mr. A, who is a customer, 50 rupees is the cost price. So for customer,
Hello.
yeah, hello, yeah, I'm writing. Shopkeeper selling price is equal to 50. Okay. So this is what is about cost. Now we will see the classification of cost and the behavior, how cost behaves. Okay. So this is all right now, this example now. So here cost classification, there are two types of cost you will be seeing. Okay. One is production cost and one is non-production cost. Production cost is nothing but the cost which you incur on production process, whether directly or indirectly. And non-production cost are such cost which you will never incur on production, which will be for non-productive activities. Okay. Generally, I mean to say these are for service activities or like back-end activities. Generally, I will like take here as administration expenses as a very good example of non-production cost. Okay. Now, again the cost, this is the classification. Okay. And there are two types of cost we see, direct cost and indirect cost. And then the behavior of the cost would be when the cost would be fixed, when it will be of variable nature, what is the stepped fixed cost we'll see, what is semi variable cost we'll see, what is the equation of line also related to cost we'll see. Okay. Now let's go deeper into the chapter now. Cost classification. See, we have already seen the example related to cost. Okay. First, let us discuss about the production and non-production cost. Okay. So cost classification, the arrangement of cost items into logical groups. See, you should understand logically how are you going to assign cost to some activity. So for example, we will classify the cost based upon the functionality. Okay. Like administration and production. So administration comes under what kind of cost? Production cost or non-production cost? Hello. Administration comes under production cost or non-production cost? My question is that.
Production cost.
How it is production cost? Administration is from the office or from the factory?
Office.
Of course, office. So administration is nothing but non-production costs. And production, definitely production costs. By the nature, we will see material and wages. These are nothing but the cost which we are incurring for certain specific things. Okay. Now, let us see now the detailed aspect of this production and non-production cost. What are production cost? See, production cost plus non-production cost will be giving you the total cost. You will be coming across one more formula. Fixed cost plus variable cost is equal to total cost. See, this is from the perspective of classification. I'm saying I'm classifying the cost based upon their functionalities. Okay. So production costs are costs which are related to production process or manufacturing process. Generally, what comes under production cost? Direct material, labor and overheads. Material, labor and overheads. What is material? The material or raw material which you use for the production, which you use in the production process, which is kind of input for your business, for which you are going to convert into output. That is your raw material. And when you buy raw material for production process, or those are used as an input, okay, to and which has to undergo some processing, and then you will be getting the output, the final product. This raw material what you are buying for production process, you are paying some money for buying that, or you are incurring some cost for buying that. So that can be termed as material cost. See, I am speaking from the perspective of manufacturing concern. I am not speaking about speaking from the perspective of trading concern. Now you may have a doubt in your mind, why always we will use raw metal for production process? We can buy the goods and sell the goods to customers. Yeah, that is from the trading concerns, or a or some like shops, from the shops perspective. Here I'm speaking about a company which is involved in production process. So the first and foremost cost what a company or a production company or a manufacturing company which incurs is material cost. Okay, then they will pay wages to labor who are also involved in converting the raw material into finished goods. And then they will incur one more cost here, that is overheads. But overheads are not direct expenses. Overheads are indirect manufacturing expenses. Okay, now as an example we can take this. This is a machine. On this machine, like this is a machine which converts input into output. So we will just put the raw material into this machine. Okay, let's say this is a juice factory. We will put oranges into this and we'll get orange juice. Fine. So this is the factory, and the juice and the juice is the final product, but the raw metal what we are using is oranges. Can I say that raw metal what I'm using is nothing but my metal cost I'm incurring on that? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
That is my direct material. Correct or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Now what is then indirect material? See, this machine, see, in my factory I will be bringing two types of material. One is the material which I will be using for production or as an input to convert into output. So this oranges in this case are my input which I am converting into juice, which is output. So this particular oranges are very important ingredient for my final product, and this is my direct material. Okay, this is my direct material. But I bring some other kind of materials also in my factory and I store them. Like, to run this machinery I want some lubricants, and I like really some other kind of products also I'll be bringing in my factory to for the smooth functioning of my machinery. So this lubricant here can be a good example of indirect material. Do you agree? Yes or no? Yes. Now coming to wages. So this machine is operated by 5 labors. Labor 1, labor 2. Are you following? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Labor 3, labor 4 and labor 5. These 5 labors are working on this machinery directly. That means they are directly involved in this production process. One is peeling the oranges, one is cutting the oranges, one is slicing the or cutting the oranges, one is like putting the oranges in this material in this particular machinery, one is collecting the juice, one is also involved in like juice cleaning process. Okay, so all these people are directly working on this machine. So these are direct labors, and the wages what we pay to them is called direct wages because they are directly involved in the production process. Now this factory has a boundary wall, and this factory is protected by some guard, security guard, and the wages what we pay to security guard is indirect factory wages, which can be also termed as factory overheads. So factory overheads are nothing but indirect factory expenses. Okay, please make a note of all this. We'll move forward fast. So one thing you should know, overheads are nothing but the expenditure we are spending to support our prime activity. Okay, prime activity. So whatever the expenditure we are incurring for support, see, indirect expenses are the expenses spent to gain support for our direct activities. Okay, so the expenditure which we are incurring for all those to get support. Okay, here the factory, this security guard is guarding the factory, so he is supporting these laborers in doing their work efficiently or without any distraction and disturbance. So he is into the support activity. Okay, so we will, whatever the expenditure we incur in this case is called overheads. Please make a note of all this.
Yes, sir.
Now so comes the non-production cost. Generally these kind of cost you see as a cost for support activities or supporting activities. So this is a factory. In this factory, what is happening? Manufacturing process is going on. This is a head office. These are some branch officers. In head office, the board of directors would be like operating in from the head office. There will be a CEO, CFO. All these people are involved in making strategies for expansion of factory or for running the factory or daily activities or routine activities very smoothly. These people are making strategies. So we also and there are some staff who work under them in the office who are never coming to the factory premise and working. Okay, so these people are involved in administration. So whatever the expenditure we pay to them is a kind of a non-production cost, or it is called as a administrative overhead. Then these are all branches. In these branches also we have some staff who are who are working or who are like looking uh, the activities of the company in some specific areas. And then we have sales outlets in different cities who are selling our product. So whatever the expenditure we incur in that case are called selling overheads. Okay, and then we have all this packaging and distribution and dispatch and delivery like a department, and the expenditure what we incur in that case is called distribution expenses, and this is also one of the example of indirect expenses. Why? Because they are also not directly involved in production process. They also do all this delivery from the godown. Okay, they never go to factory. The godowns are in different places. Then comes the finance expenses. These are non-operating nature expenses. These are not definitely not production expenses because you know Finance is what we arrange to run our business on daily basis. Okay, and this is a separate kind of expenditure, not at all like you like in this case you are paying any wages to anyone, you are separately paying interest to bank. Okay, and your business is of manufacturing, so finance is a different kind of activity altogether for your business. It is not the activity of your business. Okay, this is a non-operating nature expense. Why? Because this is not your business operation. If you are a bank, then okay, finance expenses can be a matter of concern, but for non-banking companies or production companies, this is a separate kind of expense. But yeah, this is non-production expense, because banks also give services to people. For them also it's not a production expense, it's a non-production expense always. Okay, so there are some two activities which you need to do at home. Okay, activity 1 and activity 2 I'm giving as homework. Why I'm giving this simple things as homework is you can read and you can do this. Okay, now what are they saying here? The statement, remember the eventual aim of costing is to determine the cost of producing a product or service. Yeah, why are you doing costing? Why there is a need for costing in the company? See, the cost accountants of the company have to ascertain the cost of a product. For example, if you are making a pen, so what kind of like if you want to know the cost of a pen, how will you calculate or ascertain the cost of a pen? You will take the raw material which you are using for making pens. Okay, suppose you are making 1,000 pens, so raw material is costing you 10,000. Then you are paying wages of 20,000. Then you are paying office expenses, that is overheads. Okay, I'll write overheads, that is again 10,000. Then you are paying for selling expenses, selling overheads, that's again 30,000. Okay, if you are add all of them, you get the total cost 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 70,000. You are making how many pens? 1,000. So this is the total cost. Total cost is 70,000 divided by 1,000 pens. You'll get per unit cost 70 rupees that you are incurring for making a pen. Okay, so this is called, this is nothing but a very simple example of costing. Now, this information is important to management for many reasons. The three most important being like the information which is very important for the management is profitability analysis, selling price determination. Whether first you'll see whether the product which you're going to make is going to be a profitable one for you or not. That means whether it has a potential to give you profits or not. Second, how to determine the price of that product. So let's say the 70 rupees what we have got here is the cost price. We will add some margin to it, like say 10% margin. 10% will add to it. So 10% of 70 rupees is 7. So we'll sell at 77 rupees. That is the selling price. And inventory valuation process also, which we have already studied in the chapter inventory. Okay. Now let's go for this inventory valuation. I'm not going to do this question. You are going to do this question. Okay. Because we have already done the inventory chapter. Come on, do this. Waiting. Yes, what happened? So the question is, a business has following costs for the period. These are the costs they incur. The total cost is 2,800. You are required, if 100 units are produced, what would each unit be valued at? 2,800 by 100, you do finish. $28. Can't you do this? Okay. And the next question, what they're asking is, this is the total cost. So if all these costs were allocated to 100 production units, each unit will be valued at $28. Understood? And this would be incorrect. Why this will be incorrect? See, only production costs are allocated to units of inventory. Administrative overheads are non-production cost. So we will remove what? What we'll do? We will not take this administrative overheads. What they are saying here, please try to understand. And what is this? No one is answering yes or no, nothing from your side. What is the problem? Hello? Are you
Yes, sir.
involved in this class? So if 100 units are produced, what would each unit be valued at? So they are showing you the correct procedure. See, what I said is, that is what you are seeing here. If all these costs are allocated, that means you are taking all the cost into consideration, then $28. But they say this is incorrect. Why? Because they say only production costs are allocated to units of inventory. Administrative overheads are non-production cost. So we will take only production cost, which is 600, 1000 and 500, and we'll divide by 100 units. There will get $21. Okay. This affects both gross profit and valuation of closing inventory. If during the period 80 units are sold at $40, is the gross profit will be what they are asking. So now you are selling only 80 units, not 100 units. Okay. So we will take 80 units and the selling price is 40, 3200. What is the cost of sales? 80 units into $21. We have only taken the production cost. What we have taken?
The production cost.
Yeah, non-production cost we have removed. Why? Because we are just finding out the gross profit. If you go for net profit, then it's okay. You can take the production, you can take the non-production cost as well. But here the problem is they are asking to find out gross profit. So 80 units into $21, 1680, and the gross profit is 1520. Here for calculation of gross profit, we only take production cost. That's it. And the value of, so what is the leftover like units? 20, and the value of each unit is 21. That is the cost. So 420 is your closing inventory value. Okay. Now direct and indirect cost we have just discussed. Direct cost is nothing but it is the cost which you are directly incurring for making a product, or that can be traced in full to the, that means where you see the product cost, you will always find this cost in the cost of the product or as a part of cost of product. Why? Because this is the direct cost. Now direct cost is cost that can be traced in full to the product, or if you are giving some service or department that is being costed. Okay. So direct material, direct labor, direct expenses. I have already explained you about this. And one more thing you should understand. Direct material is the material which you are using for production process directly. Like the orange, which I gave the example. Direct labor, the labor is working on the machine. Direct expenses, the expenditure which you are incurring for making that product. What can be the expenses which you are making for that product? I can say electricity. Can I say electricity? Yes.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Because electricity you are using for machinery, correct? You are using the electricity or fuel. You are using electricity, fuel for machinery. These are used in the machine for production process. So they are directly involved. These are the expenses which you are incurring for production process. Those are direct expenses or indirect expenses? Direct expenses. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, just a second. So expenses that have incurred as direct consequence of making a product. So these are directly you are incurring for making that product. There are some example also. Patent, royalties payable to the inventor of new product or process. Yeah, these are also the expenses which you are incurring directly for making a product. Now, suppose there is my company, this is my company, and my company is making some machine, some product. Okay, so that product I am making by taking some technology of some other company. So for every 1 unit of product, I have to pay royalty. What I have to pay? Suppose this
No.
this 1 unit I am making for 20 rupees. Out of that 5 rupees I have to pay royalty. Suppose my company's name is Samsung and I'm using Android software. For every software, for software being used in every phone, I have to pay royalty of $5 to whom? Google. Correct or wrong?
Correct, sir.
This is a direct expense. Okay, because I'm using their technology. So prime cost is nothing but the cost, the combination of direct material, direct labor and direct expenses. So since these are all the expenses which we incur directly on production process, this particular expenses are the expenses of the core activity of the business, hence they will be termed as prime cost. Make a note of this. Next comes the indirect cost, which I have already explained you. Indirect costs are nothing but the overheads which a company incurs for supporting the prime activity or the production process. Like I said you, indirect material, lubricants, spare parts, nails, glue, indirect labor like supervisors, staff, and indirect expenses like electricity, rent and rates, telephone. See, there are two types of expenses here also. Electricity can be taken in two ways. If I am using that electricity totally on machinery, which is used for production process, just a second, just a second, I try to differentiate this. Electricity, actually it's an indirect cost actually. Okay, just a second. But electricity used for machinery, because we are not using this for conversion, na? Conversion of raw metal into finished products. Just a second. So we will see some more examples of indirect, all the administrative costs. If I have to see, we are concerned about the electricity, correct? Electricity for machines. Just give me a second, I'll confirm you. Yeah, so like I just give some clarity here. I just used a term here, electricity. I can say this electricity is not a direct expense because electricity is nowhere involved directly in the production process, correct? Because we can't trace this in the cost of the product, correct or wrong? Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So the fuel and power used for running machinery are direct expenses, but electricity I think is a indirect expenses. Fuel is okay. Fuel is a direct expense because that is directly used for running the machine. Na? Electricity, there's no clarity because many places they are using it as direct cost, many as they are using as indirect cost. I'll write the list of the expenses here. You make a note of this. Okay. Examples of direct cost, direct material, manufacturing supplies, transportation, consumption of power, fuel. I don't get. There are two things here. You can differentiate in that. Okay. See, if I use this term called power, that can be a direct expense. Understood? So my like notion of electricity here was a wrong terminology I used. Actually, I would have used this word called power. Did you understand now? Hello.
Okay, sir.
See, power is not small thing. Now, power means you want horsepower. Very big machinery, very big generators, or very big a power grid should be there nearby your factory. You have to establish a power plant for that. From that directly power comes and it charges the machinery to work. So this can be a direct expense, correct? And fuel
Yes.
can also be a direct expense. But if I speak about electricity, electricity is nothing but it is in offices we require what? Tube lights, and we require some computer system and all. For that, whatever the charges we are paying, are we like paying them in the factory, or we are paying separately for office?
Sir, for
Yes.
office.
Office. So electricity is specifically for office. Hence that is a indirect expense. So you should not be confused. Power is nothing but excessive usage of electric power. Okay, for machinery you want big amount of, you pay a lot of money for that, and for that you just you erect a power plant in your company. So power is a direct expense, electricity is a indirect expense. Now understood? I'll give you a list altogether, don't worry. Direct expenses, direct material, direct labor, manufacturing, supplies, like various consumables which we are using in the factory, okay? Specifically for the factory, like factory stationery, factory paper and all. Then comes the freight. This is also direct expense. Why? Because we bought raw material from one place to our factory. And consumption of power, fuel and utilities. So this was the concern which I had. That's the reason why I stopped there, to give you a clarity. Factory rent is also a direct expense. Okay. So prime cost is a combination of all this: direct material, direct labor, manufacturing supplies, fuel or power consumption. Okay. And then comes the indirect expenses. Generally, factory rent is also a kind of direct expense only. Okay. It comes to indirect expenses. What can be the example for indirect expenses? All the administrative overheads. Right? Selling overheads. Okay. And factory also can have indirect factory expenses. What can be indirect factory expenses? Salary to supervisor. Correct? This can be indirect expense. One of the examples. So we will see the point here: analysis of total cost material, direct material, indirect material. This is the total material cost. Direct labor, indirect labor, expenses, direct expense, indirect expense. Here the direct material, direct labor and direct expense are direct cost. Indirect material, indirect labor, indirect expense are overheads. Okay, and direct cost and overheads is total cost. This activity is a homework for you. I will discuss those three activities tomorrow. I'll see how like you are able to answer them. So they are just giving you they are asking you a small question. They want to make a DVD and they are asking you what can be the cost of producing a DVD, and they are asking you to break down the cost card. So for manufacturing or production, for the production of the DVD, you will be incurring all these expenses like direct material, direct labor and direct expenses. That will be that all together when we mix, it will be direct production cost. And that these three when we club, it is nothing but equal to prime cost. Then comes indirect production cost, that is production overheads, indirect material of production, indirect labor, indirect expenses of production. Then comes the non-production cost, which is administration cost, selling cost. Okay, then comes the total product cost. Okay, total product cost is nothing but you are going to take all this cost in case of total product cost. And when it comes to finding out gross profit, will you consider this also non-production cost, or only be considering production cost? Yes or no? If you want to find out gross profit, you're going to take production cost or non-production cost as well? Please tell me. Only production cost, yes. Cost, behavior and output. See, cost, we can see the behavior of the cost. That means it may increase or decrease, okay, based upon the production volume. For example, if you are making 100 units of a product, and the direct wages, what you are paying to labor is $2 for 1 unit. So for 100 units, you'll be making $200 payment to laborers. If you increase this from 100 to 200 units, you'll be making $400, correct? This is fixed nature cost or variable nature cost? This is fixed nature cost or variable nature cost?
Variable.
Of course, variable nature. Why? Because as you increase the number of units, the cost has also increased. But let's say you are making 100 units in the factory and the rent is $10,000. Factory rent. You are making 500 units now. Do you think you'll pay extra rent or you'll pay same 10,000?
We'll pay the same $10,000.
Same 10,000. Why? Because rent won't change. If you produce more or you produce less, you have to pay the rent which is fixed. So rent is always a fixed cost which never increases or decreases with the level of activity or with the high production or low production. Okay, that's the reason why even though you make any output, 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 units, 4 units, 10 units, the fixed cost is always fixed. It's a horizontal line. Okay, that means if my rent is $10,000, if I produce 1 unit, I pay 10,000. If I produce 10 units, I pay 10,000. That's it. These are the examples of fixed cost: salary of MD, rent of a building, depreciation. All these are fixed expenses. Variable cost. As you increase number of units of production, with every increase in extra unit of production, extra unit you are producing, your variable cost will increase. For example, one unit is produced by one of my laborers and I pay $10 for producing 1 unit. Now he produced second unit, I'll pay 20. He produced 10 units in today's day, I'll pay $100. Okay, so this is variable cost. It will vary with the volume or level of activity. So as I'm increasing, so first what I did is for 0 units, like we paid him $0. As he made 1 unit, we paid him $10. As he made 2 units, we paid him $20. As he paid 3 units, he made 3 units, we paid him $30, and so on. Okay. So all the direct expenses like labor and any kind of raw material what we are buying, direct material, because for making 1 unit if you are using 1 kg of raw material, for making 2 units will be using 2 kg of raw materials. Okay, so material will vary with production levels. Labor will also vary with production levels, and commission, if more and more units are sold by our salesman, will be paying him more commission. Okay, so today what we'll do is we will stop till here. Tomorrow we'll continue from step fixed cost. Tomorrow is the end of this chapter, however, and we will immediately start the next topic also tomorrow. Okay. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be finishing this chapter at any cost, and then next chapter is forecasting. That will start. Okay. So I'm putting a target of 10 to 12 days for finishing these chapters. I'll be trying to wind up this one. We have already done the chapter number 1, chapter number 2. Tomorrow we'll wind up this. Then forecasting a day or two. This one class. This one will be easily finished. This like I'm targeting 10 chapters in a week time. Okay. So now things will be fast. Please catch up. And there are how many chapters? There are just 18 chapters in this book. Okay, so we can finish them soon. Fine.
Yes.
Let's connect tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.